Ja, då ska jag börja med att säga några ord på svenska. I'm going to start by saying a few words in English, then I get back to you English speaking people. Så välkomna allihopa till den här första Q&A-liven som vi håller från Chainlink Sverige. Mitt namn är Beatrice och jag är Chainlink Advocate och har ganska nyligen gått med The Chainlink Advocate Program. Och för dagen så ska vi prata om Central Bank Digital Currency, eller CBDC som vi säger kort också, med ett fokus på den svenska Riksbankens E-kroneprojekt. Och vi har Joaquim med oss idag som ska berätta lite mer. So today we are going to talk about CBDC and the Swedish Riksbanken and their digital currency project that they are taking on. And we have Joaquim with us today doing a presentation about this. So it's going to be a little bit interactive. You can post your questions in the chat and we will take them as we go along. And I think we start with the presentation with our guest, Joaquim. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you very much to all the Swedish community. Of course, we're going to talk about CBDCs, what's CBDCs around the world, why it's different from cryptos, and how are you doing with your E-krona project? That's the most initiative that we have in the whole Europe. And it's expected to be the first CBDC in use in the following 2 or 3 years. And it's great. As you mentioned before, if anybody has a question about it, we're going to stop it and clarify. And if it's not, we're going through the presentations and make it as interactive as possible to make everyone feel quite comfortable about this new concept and the new developments. So, Beatrice, whatever you want, I will start it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, let's go. I'm going to share it for all of you. Here you go. Once again, thank you, Chainlink community. It's a pleasure to be back. We've been dealing with CBDCs, NFTs, and so other project, and also talking about the proof of reserve. This is the main asset that Chainlink has right now. So we're going to be focused about what's a central bank digital currency, why it has exploded during the last 6 to 10 months. Everyone is talking about it, why most of the countries are trying to have their own CBDC, which are the difference, and why the Scandinavian countries, and on the top it's Sweden, but followed by Norway, they are trying to have their own CBDC, how will be implemented in their own financial system, and why it's this new feature, and why different countries are accepting this as the new reality. So to begin with, I'm going to start with this. The tax economy flower is that for people that doesn't know what's crypto, what's cash, what's a central bank depositors currency accounts, you got this picture about it. And we got these circles in different colors. And we have on the bottom, we got this called this central bank digital currencies surrounded with a purple circle. That's between the peer-to-peer and its central bank issued. That's the main point. We're not talking about something decentralized. So the first thing that we have to say that for sure, it will not be blockchain 100%. So if it's not blockchain 100%, it's not a cryptocurrency. That's the main thing, because it will be issued by the central bank, the European Central Bank in case of the digital euro, or from the Riksbank in case of the E-krona project. So we have to start thinking that it's not a crypto issued by the banks. It's a centralized, different kind of money, digitalized, but with certain features, and could be integrated with a smart contract in a third and second line. So be aware that we're talking a peer-to-peer, central bank issued, digital, and it will be the difference between it's going to be to the wholesale that will be restricted to certain, or it's going to be to the retail. If it's CBDC focused to retail, it's everyone will be using that. So in case of the E-krona, it's expected that the whole citizen in Sweden could use the E-krona to several projects and not limited to certain things. That has happened with the CBDC in Singapore. It has only been used by central banks, to the commercial banks, sorry, to pay to the circulation and to provide payment systems between banks. In this case, will be as a typical Swedish krona that will be applicable and will be used by their own cell phone. That's the main point I want to focus, because we have to understand the concept about CBDC. And just to remember, CBDC is not a cryptocurrency. That's the main thing that we have to understand it right now. On the second term, people say, why? But that has been already invented in the past. Yeah, of course, money has been invented since from the Lydian king. It's a province of Anatolia in Turkey, the year 650 before Christ. Then we got in China, the first paper money. In 1950s, we got the credit card in US. 28, we got cryptocurrency with Bitcoins. And in 2020, CBDC in China was the first pilot that has been tested. And it's expected around 2021 and 2022 that will be more CBDCs being applied and being issued by their own central banks. So the money has been evolving due to the technology and to the necessity of the population. So we got a new kind of money, and we're not talking about e-money that it's already existed. It's not crypto, it's a mix of them. So that's the first picture, that is to make it everything clarified. People say to me, what's that? I say, well, it's $10 banknote. Everyone knows that, but we have a word on the reverse, it's Hawaii. That's the first CBDC that we have already known. It has been used in the First World War I from the Allies. That's in case that these dollars was fallen in enemies' hands, they will have the value of zero. Normally, if they got $5 million in their hands, they cannot trade these dollars to buy something, to buy weapons. So that's the first intelligent money that will have certain features. And normally, if you have $100 in your pocket, if you are an enemy and you try to buy something, the value of this banknote is zero. So the same could happen to CBDC with certain features that will provide that will not be used for illegal activities, or to use it to blacklisted or to money laundering activities.
But can I just pause you there?
That's sure.
So we can just say that this kind of digital currency will coexist in the already the monetary system that we have today. It won't change the monetary system.
No, it's a complementary. That's as you said, the cash is near zero for sure in Sweden. I think it's around 0.4%, but it's still used. Well, I think it will disappear maybe in 20 or 30 years. That will be something useless. But nowadays, cash will start using e-money. It's starting using digital payments, starting using cryptocurrencies here. And that's why the central banks are studying the pros and cons about if it's necessary to have their own CBDC or not having a CBDC. Certain banks they decide to not going further. In case of New Zealand, has stopped the project because they say we have many alternatives and they accepted crypto as a way of payment. We have digital money. We have our own currency. We don't need a CBDC. The main points I have to understand is the interest of technological innovations, the new players on the market called the fintechs, crypto exchange. So the situation of cash near zero in some countries, Scandinavian countries, you are on the top of the list, and not right now. 10 years ago, you are using your credit cards. And as I said, 2 years ago, I went to Stockholm. I got crowns on my pocket, and I couldn't use it because everywhere I go, say, no, we prefer if you can pay in card. I say, okay. I come back to Spain and trade it once again to Europe. So the interest in digital tokens or digital payments or digital accounts that made the people and also the new generation as Generation Z understand that this kind of way of payment, they are from their own generation and they are not using cash anymore, or just in certain uses they have no other alternative. So to understand it, that CBDC is a form of digital trust money that is used by central bank and has a legal tender value. So in one hand, we can have a Chrome banknote. On the other hand, we have our cell phone that has the certain legal issue and the certain legal tender value. So it's 100% collateralized by the Swedish bank, and they make the things it's easier. They have the same value. That's something that people have to understand. One of the things that we just mentioned about, and it's why we're here, due to this financial crisis caused by the COVID-19, people are still using digital payments and different kind of way of payment, and people are moving towards cryptos. the states needs to have the control of the monetary system. If people are moving to paying everything in cryptos, they could not be taxed. Because it's difficult to track. So they have to find a middle ground, something issued by the central bank, but with setup features linked with cryptos. But CBDCs are not cryptos. Objective about that, as you mentioned, that it's a kind of money linked to new technologies, cannot be against economic and financial interaction, so it will be a complementary to cash. They create new structures, they will stimulate, that will reduce the starting interest rates of the central bank in case of too big to fail that we noticed in 2008. And the thing that the structure that controls the course of money, this money will be trackable, so it could not be used to certain legal activities. So it will have certain benefits, but on the other hand, if it's trackable, it's again about our privacy. So it has to find a middle ground with technology to make that these CBDCs, once the citizens receive them, that could be anonymized, because if you are buying every Wednesday a bottle of whiskey, you don't like that your central bank knows that you buy whiskey every Wednesday. So with cash does not happen. So we have to find something that to control that all this data has not been used by certain activities. I don't know if there's any question. If not, I'm going further, and that's one of the pictures that it's more clarifying. It's what's a CBDC? I would say it's a Frankenstein. It's 50% a banknote and 50% in money. It's the case that you got a banknote on your hands, but it has a screen on it, and you can write it down and make it electronic. So a CBDC is a mixture of both of them. It's not 100% e-money or bank deposit, it's not 100% of banknote, but they have the best feature of the both of them, and you can use it the best that you prefer. The difference that we said that CBDCs will have from retail and wholesale. Retail is that everyone will have access to CBDCs. Most of CBDCs right now, they go to that way. Certain countries, they prefer to make some tests. Singapore, but also in Israel, they prefer to make it for banks or for a public institution, and then moving towards to retail investors. And we have token-based CBDCs. It's quite related to what we know about cryptocurrencies. On the other hand, is account-based CBDCs. In this case, central banks will be obliged to open an account to every single citizen in Sweden, in case of the Riksbank, that will have an account to the Swedish bank and receive the CBDCs, because they will not be linked to the commercial banks. So these are the main two differences related to technologies. But I said that the case of the E-krona, they move into the token-based CBDC. The difference between the home-based is once you have the central ledger, so it's not decentralized, and the token-based, once it's used, you can trade it between different people peer-to-peer. In case of what we call intelligent money, what we just found about regarding to privacy. In case CBDCs, all your movements will be tracked, so they will know where you buy, at what time, which product you have bought. In case of not CBDCs, nobody knows what you are buying. Because in case of cash, it's 100% anonymous, and you can buy whatever you want and nobody knows what. In case of CBDCs, it's trackable. In case of China, it's one of the things they are so interested, because they can track their own citizen, and it's banned to buy a flying ticket with CBDCs. So if you try to buy a plane ticket, you will be banned and your CBDCs will be zero. You know, the Chinese politics is not quite related to the European politics and freedom rules. Main principle that we have related to CBDCs that they do not have, they could not be against economic policies. They have to coexist with central bank's mandate. It could be against the banknotes of existing cash or reserve, and innovation and efficiency. It has to be efficient and could not be against what we call cryptos, stablecoins, and so on. Fiat money and CBDCs, it's the difference between of that. We got this track on the sticks. We have the cash, it's permanent, anonymous, and peer-to-peer transfer. And in case of the token-based, you know, that has interest bearing or limit of cash. So you cannot have more than 1,000 CBDCs, will be limited, or will have an interest bearing on that. In case that you not expend your CBDC in 2 months, the value will decrease 20% in case to increase the economy. So there are different activities related to the economical system. It's interesting to have this new feature of new money because it will make that all the economy, in case of Sweden, as a Eurozone, to make that people expand these CBDCs before the end of 2021. It's a case of to impulse the consume and make everything to be that not saving this money for so long. Features that has to apply, has to be convertible. So if you got a krona, a Swedish krona in the left hand, and you have a CBDC has the same value, 1-1, has to be convenient, it will be easy and scarce, has to be accepted and available. So one of the main points that the E-krona project has to figure it out is the near field connections, that you have to use your CBDCs in an offline payment situation. This is a really technical feature that has not been solved, and they are worried about it because in certain parts of Sweden, maybe the internet connection is not great. So you have to download your CBDCs, pay offline, and once you find internet, it will be detracted. This is one of the aspects that everyone is trying to know, how you can download your CBDCs and just expand 1,000 CBDCs without having been connected. And the 4 point, it's low cost. CBDCs will have very low cost or no cost to the end users.
Okay, but is there any kind of solutions that are being looked at? I mean, is Chainlink a part of this solution for the offline connectivity problem? I mean,
I think that Chainlink has several features that could be used around that. One of the proof of result that you can use with Rapid and collateralize to bucket cryptos. I think that it could be a solution about it because they could understand who received this money, how they are using it in certain ways. They could certify they just using these CBDCs in certain point and tracking, make a track of that. Also, we got the Chinese CBDCs that has improved it, and they are using their own CBDC with near field connection to certain part of China. They does not have access to internet and they are using. So I think that Chainlink has a really good potential due to the efficiency in oracles, but also there are other projects that technology that could be used. I think the way to find technology that is useful is applicable and to make that it's certified, because the bank will not like to send money and do not have the control or be duplicated or so on. So the system features that has to comply, it has to be secure, has to be instant. If you're sending a CBDC, it will be in a blink of an eye. It has to be resilient because you will have to use it in certain operation of failure of natural disaster. If the banking system is not working, the target 2 or the SWIFT is not working, we will have to use this new system. It's available for 24/7, 365. It's throughput. It will have to have a high number of transactions. It's scalable because if you think that you're using the Swedish E-krona, but then it jump up the Norway CBDC and the Danish krona, they will have to find a way to be interconnected between them, that you people that is traveling to one country to another to use that. Interoperable and flexible and adaptable. It's the main point that it has been shown not just by the European Central Bank, but also by the Swedish Bank and the American Digital Project. All of them, they just pointed out that this 8 points has to be fulfilled before issuing a CBDC. If not, it's not interesting because it will cause more problems than solutions. Jumping all over the world, we'll have the countries that are in red that have not accepted. The ones that are in green, they are on research. The orange one, in case of Sweden, they got their own pilots, and the purple one, they are in full development. In blue, you cannot see it, but there are small islands close to Florida. It's Bahamas. That's the first CBDC that's already in use, and we're going to talk about it. Bahamas, lovely city, a lovely country. It was the first, the beginning of August, that jumped in August 2020, jumped with their own CBDC. They started just with the public administration, but nowadays they are using by the whole citizens. It's around 86,000 inhabitants in Bahamas. And they expect not just this summer, but maybe by the end of the year that people will start using, that tourists will have a top-up card and they will use it, the CBDCs, during the time they are in Bahamas and not using their own credit card. Why they jump already into CBDCs? Because they need a solution, because the banknotes close to their island, they found that it has been destroyed due to humidity. They have several problems due to taxes. So they implement technology by the Central Bank of Bahamas, and they created what's called Sand Dollar. And at least this new CBDCs has been successful, and we will see how many other countries are accepting what they're creating their own CBDCs. In case of the northern countries, Canada, US, Europe, and so on, we have the Canada, they are doing some pilots on their own CBDC. That's the one that they're using blockchain because they have been working with the Stella Group. In France, they have been working hard with the transaction to the digital euro, and they funded it with commercial bank, and it's been great. Denmark, in case they cancel their own pilot because they understood it that they got the European Central Bank working on digital euro, and Sweden and Norway, they are doing great. They say, I'm going to stop it. It's not necessary to have right now another CBDC. Just wait which one is better for our country, and the interoperability between them, I will accept one another. So Denmark right now, they don't have their own CBDC and will accept, I would say, E-krona, for example, or they will accept the digital euro. In case of Sweden, it's the ones that everyone is looking for since 2017. The Swedish Bank, Central Bank, decided to go forward to CBDC due to the cash near zero of their own inhabitants. So they have been studied, they've done a lot of research. I think they got 5 reports published by the Riksbank. Also, they have started this year with certain pilots to certain areas. And we hope that in a year or maybe 2 years, the E-krona will become a reality in Sweden, and maybe the other European countries focused to the European Central Bank will be looking closer, because it will be a reality and it will be a necessity to the other countries.
Okay, so I just we have a couple of questions here. So the first one was about offline, if payments offline could be possible, and
yeah,
you said that with certain technology that could be possible in the future, but it's something that the Riksbank is looking into right now.
Yeah,
and Chainlink could be.
Yeah, for sure. That Chainlink, I think that Chainlink has a solution to cryptos and to stable coins. So a CBDC, it's I don't like to say that because it's not true. CBDC is not a stable coin. It has the same, would say, the same objective. Something that is stable, will not have a volatility. So if they can track stable coins and use it, these oracles, to provide the certainty and use it to offline payments, I'm sure that could be adapted to a currency issued by a central bank with certain technology, and maybe in the second layer will be applied to smart contracts. So Chainlink will provide a solution to that for sure.
Great. Okay, so the other question was, for a small country like Sweden, could it be dangerous to implement CBDC for some reasons?
I don't think so. I think that it's the opposite. I think a small country like Sweden, we have the same inhabitants like Catalonia, that's where I come from. So that you could try that you can pay your taxes without receiving the money in your commercial bank, because you will receive certain aid from the Swedish government in the way of CBDC. So you can decide where to use your CBDCs, your krona, or your digital money. I think it's an alternative that will have, it's immediate payment of that. So why not? Technology, you already got your cryptocurrencies on your phone and you can pay and you can send it back. Why don't they accept it, another kind of money that they will provide? And they are thinking that in case of natural disaster or public health necessity, they could send directly this aid to the citizens and not send it to the commercial banks, and then the commercial banks to the public administration, and then the public administration finally to the citizen. They can use the money directly to a certain zone that has been in danger, and certain aid and we provide with CBDCs. So I think there are several features that it's good to have. Just to the last report that has been published by the end of April, beginning of May, I think, for the Riksbank, it does say that E-krona will be just like us. That's something that's 100% accepted, that you can use it in one other way, and all the payment provider will have to accept CBDC. Nobody could say, I don't accept CBDCs. The E-krona also, we know that will be used by the Riksbank, that nobody else will be used it. In case of Singapore, has been used by other central bank. It will be retail, it will be acceptable to the general public. It's also important due to the marginal role of cash. It's a complement, as you pointed out, Beatrice. It's a complement to cash. It will not be disappear. Maybe 20 years the cash is not used, but they don't want to cut the cash out. The Krona project has started in 2017. They have been studying a lot. The NFC, the offline payments, is the main issue. I have been working hard about it, and we hope to find a solution. And the first pilot was in 2021. It has been published, I think, 3 weeks ago, this pilot phase, and it says that it has been testing the technical solution. It's great, but they have to figure out the offline payments and also when it will be necessary to issue the CBDC and the maximum amount. Because if they want to use it a great amount, it will be for certain users. So innovation, cryptocurrencies, if they are linked to the CBDCs, and if you are not moving forward, for sure that cryptos will jump, and maybe a certain generation will use CBDC as a way of CBDC, and it will not be useful for the country. In comparison to the digital euro, as we know, they are moving slow because we have 27 countries working under a certain monetary institution. As well, it will be a complement to cash and deposit, will create synergy to payment industries. They are thinking about avoiding unregulated payment institutions and try to make interconnections between other CBDCs in case of the E-krona or the Chinese digital. In the Asia or Southern Asia, they are the main leaders of this race. They are working so hard at that. We got China, we got Singapore, we got Thailand, we got Indonesia. Also, we got in Oceania, we got Australia working hard, Japan, South Korea. But the main thing is China. They said that the Winter Olympics 2022, they will be fully operational, the digital yuan. They have shown the world they have been testing in the biggest city of China. All the payment providers, they have been accepted. They linked it with Alipay and WeChat Pay. So it's a massive success. So they are also applying blockchain technology linked to smart contracts. We said that people that receive CBDC in a way of lottery, the first thing they try is to buy a plane ticket to fly away from China. And they find out that was blocked, and all the CBDCs was deleted to zero. So the Chinese government, we know they have the certain list or they have certain restriction. So the CBDC, it's quite friendly for them, and they are using for their own purposes, if normally we accept them or not. To conclude with this presentation, because I prefer to have questions and try to clarify things that have not been clarified before. CBDCs are not blockchain because they have been used centralized, but maybe in a second or third layer, they will need to implement blockchain because with a smart contract, with oracles, and all these new technologies, they will make CBDCs much powerful and have new features that the digital cash that right now we got it, they don't have it. So what's on your mind? That's now your time. I give you all my details. If anybody wants to contact me by email or by LinkedIn, I will be pleased. And there, now is your time.
So thank you for this presentation. Very enlightening. So we have another question here. Do you think it could be possible for fiat cryptocurrencies and CBDCs to coexist in one monetary system?
Yeah, for sure they will coexist. The monetary system, they understood it since 1950 that the credit payment has appeared. So they do not control the people expend more money than they got it. So they will find a way that's called target true. And in case that you expend this money, they can ask you to pay that money 1 month later. Later on, they appeared the cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrency, first, everybody said it was a kid's game, a kindergarten game, and nobody accepted. Nowadays, you know that the major banks are investing on that, and also Coinbase has jumped to be a public company on US. The changes on different companies related to blockchain technology, it has been increasing, and they are multiplying the number of of the employees. So it's a reality of that. The financial system has been evolving too, and they are trying to figure out which is the best way. And for sure, the central bank, they got the control of their own country. The main thing that they are worried about is to lose the potential or the control of taxes. If every one of that we are in this meetup, we're moving just in crypto and not paying taxes because they don't know why we are receiving this money. If we are not paying taxes, they could not invest in your country. So it's a snowball. They prefer to create a new way. It's similar to crypto. You have certain features, so they can understand and you can pay taxes. The governments live because they use your money and you pay taxes on rewards.
Yeah, but would it be possible to like get a work payment in this kind of money? Because like today we don't get paid in cash in Sweden. So would this also be, like you say, compromising the ability to pay taxes, or will this system require some kind of insight to track all the transactions, like you talked about before? So it would be fraud proof. In this new digital world.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that they will pay your salary with CBDCs first, because it's money that is used by the central bank.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the money that's used by the central bank, it's used to the commercial banks, and then the commercial bank, they pay you.
Yeah.
But nowadays, they understood that there are certain activities like providing aid to certain communities or certain areas that have a natural disaster, that to issue, I don't know, 3 million euros in an overnight and send it directly to the north of Sweden. I would say, you can add the Riksbank, the 3 million of krona, and send it to the north of Sweden. They will send it directly to the citizens that are living that way, because they got a wallet to receive CBDCs and said, okay, how many inhabitants live there? 100,000. Okay, I will send it. We'll say 3,000 crowns per inhabitant, and they send directly. And you don't need to fill any documents to the public authority, not asking to receive this aid. I think there are things that it's quite logical that CBDCs use. Salaries will start be paid by companies the way that has to be done.
I have also read somewhere that this kind of payment has some issues with storage, like how you store your E-krona. So when you read about this pilot, there were different alternatives that they were looking into. For instance, like an end user would store the private key and the token with transactions history locally in a payment instrument. Like, what exactly does that even mean? It's very technical.
Yeah, well, the last report that has been published due to the first pilot is like, okay, we're going to try to create a wallet. It's not blockchain because it's centralized. They have to, due to the latest payment, it's necessary that it's a second identification. It's not okay just using your Face ID. Also, you need to receive an SMS and to include a password. More or less, they're trying to find a way that make everything so secure that anybody else can hack this account and take it out all the CBDCs, and they will know how to manage that. Which kind of information we will try to make it create like a private key. But when we talk about private key, we're not talking about a private key of cryptos. The private key is a user with a private key and a second identification. I don't know, they're sending an SMS to the Riksbank and then send it back to you. I don't know. In this double identification that you only know how to access to this account and nobody else can access it. Or just providing a certain number of your social security number or your employee number. I don't know. when we talk this privacy, is a second level of identification to make it so secure and nobody else can hack this account because it's centralized. And if it's something is centralized, like an exchange, well, anybody could be hacked.
Okay, so do we have any more questions from the community? We have one. Many are worried for the control that the central banks / state will have on your money. For example, to steer things from different individuals depending on how they perceive the individual's status. Do you have any comments to that?
Well, I think that everyone is worried about their own privacy. We know that since Facebook jumped it out around 2003, 2004, everyone started having their own Facebook account. And we said 10 years later, it was a leak, disinformation, your credit cards and everyone. I said that nowadays everyone is exposed. So try to use the things the best way you know, and try to use a securitized browsers, not connected to public lands and so on. And you have to understand that if something is issued by a central authority, they will be the first that will try to control and to make it everything comply with the law. So in case of privacy, I think they will find a way that I send 1,000 krona to this inhabitant. But since that, I will not have any control of that except the number of krona they have spent. I think with technology, you will use that. And the certain data, I understand that the Swedish government with their own inhabitant, they know almost everything. Now, if you want it or not, that you are connected with several things and you're providing free information. I would say that maybe Instagram more about you than the Swedish government.
Yeah.
For sure, the Swedish government have a lot of information about you, about your healthcare, about your driving license, about your rent flat, or whatever you're using. I think that with these small goods, it will be some kind of technical solution. I'm not an expert on these things. I think that we'll find out a solution for sure.
Yeah, because I think it's very common that when you speak about both stable coins, centralization, and especially when you talk also about blockchain technology, and people tend to talk about privacy, integrity, security. And I feel like as an historian as well, I feel like people are always scared of new technology. And I think this is something that we can't avoid people being scared. So for me, a part of this meetup is to educate, so people will be aware of what is coming. It sounds quite bad, but just for the future, this technology, I named this event is CBDC Inevitable. It's quite rhetoric because we see this pilot is going along and they are actually considering this in a serious way. You told us that Sweden has come very far in this process as well. So I think being scared is also a little bit of missing out of the possibilities. Maybe this is personal opinions, but with technology like Chainlink, I think we will be, we can balance this way of privacy on the other hand, and also being a part of this development that we're seeing with digitalization and what is pretty much inevitable, because like you said, this is bigger governments being a part of it, paving the way.
We are fighting, David, against Goliath. So it's hard to that, but I think we have to speak our voice, and that's what happened with Digital Euro. They asked the whole community, the financial community, if they got any questions or queries about the first report that was published, I think around October 2020, and they received around 6,500 proposals, and the 95% was related about privacy. Were quite people from different parts of the financial system. Okay, we understand that's a necessity. We have to be focused about privacy because it's something with digital payments. Nowadays it's solved because it's anonymous. So why you gonna be tracking our CBDCs in the way that we explain it, in which way that you can know at what time, what I decided, what's not, it's not good to the citizens. So we have to balance, as you pointed out. That's happened before. When the internet has started, everyone was sending all this personal information because they want to chat online and with Messenger, and nobody was worried about. 10 years later, people say, "Oh, I uploaded so many pictures of me on Messenger, so I want to erase them because I just sent lots of personal information without no idea." The same is happening right now. It's good to be worried about this. It's good also to be not saying afraid, to have respect to new technology, because we never know in which way we're using. But for sure, that this technology will have good things and bad things too.
Exactly. So being critical is not a bad thing in this situation. Just being, up to speed with what's going on and being able to maybe do something about it if you want. I mean, like the European Union has these citizen initiatives. Like if you get 1 million votes from 7 different countries, you can actually inflict what is happening in the European Commission. So there are ways of, as like a small citizen, to do something, but you need to be educated about this stuff. So thank you very much for bringing some knowledge to Sweden about the Swedish project, because I haven't seen anything about this on the news or anything. So thank you really very much.
Wow, I think that's something that if you are connected with blockchain technology, that you are hearing, and come on, everyone is talking about those days. But you understand that the Swedish citizen, you got your own problems. It's not something that will happen in 2 or 3 months. Well, I think that once the Swedish government decide to take one step further and approve that the E-krona will be a reality in 1 month, I think that will be overloaded about information about E-krona, and most people will talk about it. I think that we are in a preliminary step. We're doing some pilots. We are really interested in Europe, because if E-krona is a massive success, the digital euro will be so. And will be interconnected, because nowadays you can be using digital yuans in Europe, because if Alibaba accepted and Alipay accepted, so why I'm not using the CBDC, the Chinese CBDC, if it's useful for me, and not using the digital euro. So the interconnectability about CBDC will be interesting too.
This is awesome. So I don't think we have so many questions, and I think I've asked pretty much the questions I was feeling curious about. So we maybe give this a little time if there's someone holding it in.
Yeah, well, if not, I will ask questions to myself. I would say that I encourage that people that are in Sweden, that it's closely related to blockchain technology, that be also interested about CBDCs and all these new markets, the non-fungible tokens, because if you became the first CBDC in the Eurozone, you're not in the Euro economy, that will be so powerful, and many companies will be looking about what's going on in Sweden, and to be one of the biggest technological hubs that it's nowadays Sweden. And with payment industry, we've sold 2 of the biggest startups in the last 6 months. So I think it's a new ecosystem that the Swedish citizen, and also Swedish professional, should embrace and become one of your main bonds, because you're doing things great with technology and payments, and that is the link between the both worlds.
So we have another question rolling in. How much interoperable do you believe? I think it's what kind of level of interoperability do you believe CBDC will be for third parties building smart contracts?
I think the once the CBDC will be issued in less than 24 hours, you can send your CBDC to a crypto exchange and buy cryptos. Also, you can send it to your digital electronic money, and you can share it too. I think that once it's on the market, all the other providers will accept CBDCs, one, because it's used by a central bank, so it's current money, it has the same money, but has certain different features. So something that it's backed by the central bank, it will be accepted by everyone. So you can use it on your Amazon account, will be use it on your exchange if you want to buy cryptos. You can use it also to provide in smart contracts, link it to CBDC. I think it will be so easy and people will accept it because it's something that has value, something that is useful, and now on it's digital. That's the thing that sometimes you say, okay, send me you have to go to your commercial bank, send a transfer, a wire transfer to an exchange. Now will be instantly. So it will be easy and everyone will use it CBDC in the same way they're using cards or using other kind.
Yeah, so for instance, like a company using other kinds of Chainlink products for and using a smart contract.
Yeah.
Will they be able to make payments or trigger payments from like a wallet, for instance, my private wallet?
Yeah, for sure. Or I don't know if you got CBDCs. I'm sure that will be created a stable coins linked to CBDC Swedish crown, and you will send it your stable coins, and the CBDC will be packed on a wallet. And once it's sent, I think there are several technological things that has already been invented. So I'm sure that will be implemented to smart contracts and to the current payments. Say that you go into a shop, I will pay with CBDC. Okay, I prefer that you pay me with a stable coin. Okay, that's put your mobile phone there and it's create a stable coin and send a stable coin. I think will be several technological features that will be implemented and it's great.
Yeah. So I think we will call it a night. And I thank you very much for joining us today. And if you have any other questions, feel free to, I guess, contact Joaquim and also write to us at Chainlink. You find us at Telegram, ChainlinkOfficial, Chainlink Sweden. You find it at Discord and other places. So I thank you everybody for tuning in today and hope to see you later on. Bye.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.